motion. Right. Bent je op? Yes, alright. Normaal. Working with shadows on a creative way. Sometimes your light source, your flash or sunlight or another light source creates a shadow. But if you move your light source, you can use that shadow on a creative way. You also can use a shadow on a multiply creative way. But that is something for the next lesson. In this lesson, we let you see what you can do with different shadows from different light sources on a creative way. Let's go to the first example. The first example, like this, is the bride getting into the wedding dress and her mom will close the wedding dress. You can see our flashlight is from above and creates a shadow on the wall. So you have a little frame with a story, with a shadow inside this story. So you can lit the closing of the dress and you create a shadow on a creative way. Very simple, and you can do it with only one speedlight. The next example is use a light from behind. There's a light from behind the couple and that creates a shadow on the floor. Of course, we added the shadow a little bit better because the shadow isn't exactly sharp, but it creates a creative shadow on the floor while they're walking and talking together after the wedding ceremony. The next example is an effective shadow on the building where the party of this wedding couple was. The party was inside here, and after the first dance we took them outside and create a shadow on their wedding location with only one speedlight. It was a very strong speedlight, a B10 Pro Photo, because you need a lot of power to lit the shadow onto the building. And what we did is we placed our wedding couple around here into their own shadow, and we placed the speedlight, we photoshopped it away later, we placed the speedlight from the ground up to the building. First we took with the assistant some example images, and after that we took the couple here and placed them at the market point where the assistant was in the example. We took it from the other side of the water, from here, so you also have a little bit reflection into the water. So if you have a frame on a wedding location, you can frame the shadow of your couple into the wedding location. Very fun to do. The next one is we used with this couple two light sources, the sun and a fill-in light. Because the sun is very strong, we use the sunlight to create a shadow on the dunes and a fill-in light for moving the shadows on the couple. Easy, awesome and fast. You can do it only if the sunlight is here. If the sunlight is from here, you get an awful shadow. So always pose your couple the right way, so there is a shadow like that. So you can see their noses and you can see their body like that. It's like a ghost, this shadow. The next one, this isn't rocket science, but you can use it sometimes for a creative effect. What we did is we lit the model from straight with a split light. So we lit like that. You can see it a little bit shadow here, like there and here. And we used a max nut. So we have a little point of light, like a tube, for creating this round effect. You also can do it with a wedding couple. You pose them nose to nose and you point your light like that. So you have a round light around the heads of your wedding couple and you create a shadow in that round light circle. Always point your flash on the right effective way, from above or from the side, for creating the perfect shadow. The next one is also a creative shadow, because we have to lit our couple. We used in this image, I will remove me from the wedding couple. What we did is we used two lights. One strong light, like a B10, for creating the shadow light here, and one extra light for creating a little bit lit onto the bride and groom to remove the shadows. This light source is of course stronger than this light source. Otherwise we would have here also an extra shadow. You also can do it with one light source, but then you have a little bit more shadows. So in this way we used two light sources and you create a creative shadow in your image. It was a big building and this was very dark, and that's why we created the shadow here. The next one is this one. This was very difficult. We used the shadows from the ceiling above. The next picture is the same location, same wedding couple. You see here the windows in the ceiling, and the sun create a shadow and silhouette on the concrete floor. And what we did is the sun was moving, so this is the picture a little bit earlier. Because the sun moves that way, the shadows and the silhouette moves that way. We posed our wedding couple here, and what we did is we used two speed lights. one speed light from behind through the doors, so you never can see that light, only the light source, the light from the light source, and that creates a shadow on the concrete floor. And because Mark, my assistant, was behind this door, you create a little bit sharp shadow line here. And because the light was like that, there wasn't a shadow line here, because the door Mark was from here on a chair. You created a backlight, here light, backlight, and it created a shadow. We also had a little speedlight from here. We added it away in Photoshop afterwards, and the rest was available light from the sun. A very simple solution for creating another image in the same location. The next one is also a two light setup. One light from behind, that is the sunlight and the silhouette and shadow light on the floor, and the other light source was from here. We moved the couple to this location, and from that point behind this little wall we pointed a speedlight on a stand onto the couple, and we shoot 3 or 5 frames while they were walking and talking to each other. And after that we choose the best frame where they walking into the light of our speedlight. So from here to there, and from there to there. So this is sunlight, a little bit rim light and light from above, and an extra speed light for fill-in, because otherwise they were silhouette or too dark, for fill-in light, the bride and groom. The next one is also a combination of available sunlight. You can see it from here. This is a little bit sunlight into this location, so it creates a shadow and silhouette on the floor, on the wooden floor. And what we did is we placed a speed light, a power light on the floor, pointed upwards to the bride and groom, so we create a shadow into this frame. So you have one frame and another frame, a frame in frame silhouette shadow light. We let them do a little dance, otherwise it would be again a nose to nose picture, and so there's a little bit life into this image. So very simple, use a very strong speed light or a very strong power light or dado light to create a shadow on the wall behind the couple. The other light was a little bit environment light and the fall off light from this light source. Very creative, and it's a little bit different than all the other pictures we see in this location. I took this picture a while ago in Vegas, while I was there for MagMod and the WPPI. Normally, this is a boring situation. You have a couple here, you use a speed light to lit the couple, and you have a boring environment here. What I did was using an extra speed light on the ground with a MagGel blue on it that creates a blue light onto this building. And because Vegas is very busy, there is always someone walking into your frame. And what I did is waiting till a couple was walking and we create a nice shadow in this boring environment. So you use one speedlight for your couple and you use the other speedlight for lit the rest of the building and lit a walking couple with an extra shadow onto the wall. Very simple. It's not rocket science, it's not very creative, but it's a way to use two couples with two lights and with a creative setup. You also can do this on a wedding location with your wedding couple and ask some guests for walking or standing into your frame for creating an extra shadow. So you can use this example for a better creative image at your wedding. The next one is we used the sunlight for creating an extra frame. What we did is using the sun through the windows. We have windows at two sides. We have windows here and we have windows there. And there was a sun from the right, from above to the right, and we posed a wedding couple into this framing window. And so the shadow of the windows create a frame, 2 frames, 3 frames, and we post our wedding couple into that frame. Very simple and very fast to do. Next one. This was shot by natural light with one extra speed light for lit up the couple a little bit. What we did is use the sunlight for creating the shadow lines on the wall. We post a couple into that shadow lines and we used an extra speed light for lit up the couple and remove the shadow lines on the couple. You have to use a very strong speed light because the sunlight is very hard and it's very difficult to win from the shadows of the sun. But if you use a B10 or 2 speed lights, you can remove the shadows with your extra light from the couple. Very simple, effective, but you need the sun, otherwise this is dark and you can use the speed light for another situation to remove the darkness. But in this image we had the sunlight for free and we used the speed lights for lit up the couple a little bit extra. The next one. You have a white wall, a model and a shadow from one light situation. We post the couple or the model like that. Always use a flashlight or a LED light for the position of your flashlight. Otherwise you have to take a lot of pictures for the best situation. And after post your model and your speed light perfectly, you can make your pictures. So what we did is one light, like a sort of split light on the model, and that creates a shadow and a beam of light on the wall. Very simple and effective. This is the next one is the same location, but in color and also split light, but another pose. So we posed the model a little bit like Marilyn Monroe, and what we did is a split light on the model that creates a perfect silhouette on the white wall. In this image we used the sunlight, but you also can use a speedlight. But this is sunlight that creates a shadow on the ground while they're walking. We lit the couple with the environment light of the sun, and because the sun was at the other side of the couple, that creates a rim light and an extra silhouette on the floor, on the ground. And if you cut your image like that, your crop, you create a creative view from the shoes and the legs of the groom and the wedding dress of the bride, and their bodies are the silhouette shadow on the ground. This is a special image for you. We will explain this RGB light technique in another lesson later, but you can also create the same shadow on the wall with only one speedlight. Instead of 4 colors, you create one color, a black silhouette, with the same position of your speedlight, but only when you use one light. But in this technique we used 3 different speedlights, 3 different gels, RGB gels, to create this effect. But again, we will explain that later. What we did in this image was a happy model. She was pregnant, and what we did is, you see in this pose a happy model, and in the shadow you see her pregnant belly. Next one is simple. We're from Holland, so we have a lot of tulips, and you can create, you also can do this with a model or with another product, but in this example we used a tulip. What we did is we lit the tulip from the other side, from here, and it creates a shadow. We used a speedlight with a Max Fair, so the shadow is a little bit softer. If we don't use the Max Fair, the shadow will be a little bit harder. One light technique, and what we also did is, with a 2 light technique, we create a blue background. This is normally a black background, but if you use an extra speedlight from here to above, you create a blue background like that. So you can do it with one light technique, then you never see that shadow, but if the background was white you see the shadow. But because the background was black and we lit it up with a blue light, we created the shadow onto the black background. Last example in this lesson is use the sunlight or your speedlight for creating creative images. If you are on a boring location, there is always a way for creating a creative image for your wedding couple. This was a parking lot, very boring, but what we did is we used the sunlight in this image for lit the bride and groom's hand, a little bit groom, a little bit wedding dress, and we posed our shadow exactly between those hands, the flowers, the wedding dress, and the room. You only need 3 or 5 images to pose all these positions perfectly together. And that's it for this lesson. Try and error and use every light source on every location to create creative shadows.